I'm Craig Fisher, and this is Inside Talent, where we take you into the minds behind the scenes and show you some of the coolest tools and best practices of some of the coolest people in the talent industry. Inside Talent is brought to you by Allegis Global Solutions. Today, I speak with Jim D'Amico, who's the global head of talent acquisition at Celanese and the president of ATAP, the Association for Talent Acquisition Professionals. This is Craig Fisher, and I'm with Jim D'Amico. Jim is a longtime friend and colleague here in the Dallas area, and he heads up talent acquisition at Celanese Corp. Jim, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. So I am the global talent acquisition leader for Celanese. We're a global chemical company headquartered here in Dallas, Texas. And I'm also the president of ATAP, the Association of Talent Acquisition Professionals.
Excellent. And we will talk a little more about ATAP and a little bit about some of Jim's background and hobbies as well. But first, I want to talk a little bit about what's happening right here, right now. We are both working from home. We're on a Zoom meeting, which has become sort of the new normal. And, I'm wondering, even as we appear to be flattening out the curve, and people are talking about businesses ramping back up at some point soon, do you think things will go back to normal? I mean, do you see us as organizations and corporations saying, employees, you all need to come back to the office and sit, this close to each other and no sneeze guards? Or are we going to be tested and temperatures taken at the door? I mean, how is this going to work?
Yeah, I don't know how we go back to normal, actually, because I think what you just brought up is a very good point, that I don't know if staff at companies and people that work in those close environments are going to want to go back quickly. I think there will be some phase into that. And I think what we'll start seeing is more of a blended model where people get some more freedom, can work from home, because we've seen it works. I'm not somebody that normally works from home, and my team's not, but wow, we haven't lost any production. We've stayed in touch. We're communicating just like normal. So the technology really supports that. And it almost feels that sort of those offices and cube farms are probably a little archaic at this point.
It does feel that way, right? It also, I don't know about you, but I just heard that Dallas County has ordered that everyone will wear a cloth mask when they go, out in public places now. And it's strange, but we're seeing that kind of on a regular basis when we go out. And I was already a little weird about touching door handles before all this happened, right? And,
Yeah.
gas pumps and things like that. And so we've got all these new guidelines about how not to get sick. And I think people are going to take that more seriously. But I think going back to the office is one of those things where people are going to really push back and say, gross. I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah, look, I wash my hands religiously just because that's how I was brought up. And,
right.
But if there are 1,000 people in office and 2% don't wash their hands, then the work, it doesn't matter. That's
right.
What's really scary. I'm glad to hear about the mask. I am fully supportive of it. This was a face designed to wear a mask, so I'm really excited for that. That might be a permanent addition.
Oh, come on. You're a handsome guy. Now, and here's the other thing. You and I are generally wearing a sport coat, and you wear a bow tie. And I mean, like, we're used to going to events and dressing up, and I'm pretty casual these days. And, I occasionally, on Facebook am casual, but in all other places I show up generally pretty dressed up. So I think a lot of norms are going to start changing.
Absolutely. You can talk about, some of the things that you save, like with commute times and things like that. But I can tell you that what I've saved in dry cleaning in the past month has been pretty significant.
Right. I don't even know if the dry cleaners are open. I got to be honest. I don't know.
They are not. They are not. I miss my dry cleaner and I miss my barber very much right now.
I am running out of button-down shirts. I can tell you that. Absolutely. And I miss my barber too. The amount of product it takes to mat down this hair, I'm keeping Paul Mitchell happy right now.
See, I've opted for the 1099 product. That's what keeps me contained.
I like the 1099. See, that's good. All right. So, is there what is the story behind your hat?
Oh, so this actually is a great story. This is a Texas Rangers hat. It's black and gold.
Yeah.
They gave them out last year for a veterans event. And so since I'm an Army veteran, I got the black and gold. But a really nice event that Fox Sports and the Rangers did to bring, I think close to 100 veterans to a game and down on the field, and a really great experience.
I remember that game very well. I'm a big veteran supporter, being in the recruiting industry. A lot of us are, right? That goes along with hiring at big corporations. But Fox 4 did a wonderful job of that presentation, and it was a really cool event.
Yeah, it was. It was great.
So speaking of employers and recruiting, how does recruiting change, do you think? I mean, we're used to being TA teams, being able to go in each other's offices and talk through things and having face-to-face meetings with hiring managers. But that was already starting to get a little more remote and automated. So yeah. I don't think that, recruiting has any challenges doing this in a remote fashion.
No, so I think in a lot of cases, we were early adopters to video and Skype technology,
right,
and things like that. So we're prepared for that. Now, it's gotten better. It's really good. So I think from a team standpoint, the dynamic might change where, one of the benefits back in the day is when you hear what the recruiters are doing on the phone, you can immediately engage and help with them. So you lose a little bit of that.
Right.
But we have touch-ups all the time on video now. We're together. We're talking about everything. And if we're IMing real time during calls, I mean, the technology has enabled us to be a team that's disparate. So from a recruiting standpoint, I don't have to worry about I can't hire a great recruiter because they're in Minneapolis, right?
Right.
I don't have to worry about relocating.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot to that. I mean, the candidates that we hire, I think we're going to be able to do without, quite so much relocation. And I think the candidate experience is not really going to suffer much because we're already doing, video interviews and things like that. I understand that, the physical structure, the physical plant of an office is sometimes an allure. I mean, you've been to the Toyota office with me. It's amazing, right?
Yes.
I mean, who wouldn't want to work there? So I think there will be situations, but they've got enough. They're building another space right now because they're already out of space in that place. But I think there's going to be ways where possibly people come in shifts, right? So half the office is out on one day, so you're able to sit far enough apart, things like that, and maybe mix it up. I just feel like we're already set. We're ready to go. We don't need to physically go back there as recruiters and TA. But I have a feeling somehow we'll kind of get forced into it one way or another.
Yeah, we could. And I think, another thing that I always think about with recruiting, this is not a 9-to-5 job.
That's right.
So our hours can be adjusted and be a bit wonky to manage what we're doing. And working in an office doesn't always give you that flexibility. Nobody likes to be the last person in an office,
right,
or the first person in the office being there alone. But working from home, look, if I need to get a hold of candidates after hours, I can do it. And I can do it just like we're doing. We talking just like we're in the same room practically.
That's what we've been doing for 20 plus years, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, candidates after hours. Recruiting after dark. It's just the way. It's just the way it goes. And you and I both have global teams, so we're doing this all the time anyway.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I was video with my team in Shanghai last night.
Right. Yes. So, and that's a fun thing. So we are now doing more daily stand-ups with different teams and meeting every morning. And we've got one each morning that's just 15 minutes that is no work talk. It's just,
yes,
how you doing? Happy smiles, things like that, which I think is great.
It is. We started doing that too. We call her a water cooler chat.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to talk about the pandemic, and you're not allowed to talk about work.
Yeah.
And they're great. I
Yes.
think we share more, and we've bonded way more over those 15 to 30 minute tag ups than we did
Right.
in the office.
So, have you been entertained by any of the memes that are going around, or any of the lists that are going around on Facebook where you're challenged to do X, Y, Z? There's a couple that I really like.
You know, it's very interesting to me. So I'm a recruiter, so it's my job to judge people. So I love judging my friends by their taste in music and their taste in movies.
Yeah.
So I have probably had to block a few people that I may not have in the past when I realize their love of country music that I do not share.
That's funny. So there is a great list challenge that asks you questions like surprising band that you like it's a kind of a guilty pleasure, and
Sure.
Surprising band that you hate or song that you hate, things like that. And it's a pretty good list of things. And I listen to the Ticket, Sports Radio Ticket, every morning, and they're all going through each of their lists of doing that, and it's pretty entertaining stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, it's funny when you find out sort of those guilty little pleasures. I mean,
Right.
You know me, so you know, like, I'm a metalhead.
That's right.
But my guilty pleasure, midday when I'm eating lunch and relaxing, it's all opera.
Oh, nice. That's cool. La Boheme. It's an opera.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm a metal guy too, and among other things, I listen to all kinds of stuff. So you'll constantly see Taylor Swift dance parties going on my back porch, with me and Jennifer. So, but then I'm listening to Tool in my headphones. So there you go. And so, okay, I think you caught my La Boheme reference just then.
Absolutely.
And you've got a background in comedy, right?
Absolutely.
Tell me about it.
Absolutely, yeah. So, when I got out of college in the military, I had incredible skills to operate the main gun on a battle tank, which didn't translate well into civilian world. So I decided I'd go back to school. I went back to school at Second City and trained and went through the Second City Conservatory program. Really enjoyed it. But what I like is writing and doing stand-up. So I actually worked as a stand-up and toured for many, many years all over the U.S. doing stand-up comedy. And I actually wrote two short comedies that were in the Tribeca Film Festival as well.
Cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So you met some interesting people while you were doing that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Interesting is an understatement. That is a very unique collection of individuals that do stand-up. And just it is interesting. We'll leave it at that. It's just very, very cool.
Well, so, okay. I'm going to liken this to being on the speaking circuit, right? I've been doing that for, 15 years now. And you end up with the same people at sort of the same venues a lot. And you get your crew together. And then there's a whole bunch of fringe people that you know as well who have their own crews. But there's, very interesting dynamics going on all the time. And it's the sort of backstage green room scene is stuff that it must stay private.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So speaking of things that we also do, you're not in a position where you're going to be doing a side hustle at any time, right? But, I've got multiple side hustles, speaking at events and hosting TalentNet and doing some, side consulting stuff. And I'm an advisor to tech companies. Do you think more recruiters, now that a lot of people have been furloughed and, hiring is shrinking in some sectors, are going to have to develop these side gigs in order to kind of stay afloat?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people will, and I think they're in a great position to do that. recruiting, one, is a communications-based role. You have to be a great communicator, both in writing and in speaking. So I think there's opportunities to do that. I think there's a lot of consulting opportunities out there. I don't think there's enough people right now that are providing guidance around tech stacks for companies. There's a lot of sort of surface stuff you can read and gain knowledge from on the internet. But wow, I was just talking to some folks the other day about that's a great business that I think a lot of staffing firms and staffing people could get into, is being that expert on building a tech stack for a company.
So it's funny that you mention that, because that's one of the things that my Ignite consulting team does. I'm currently working on that for University of Maryland's global campus. We're building their tech stack. And we've just done a lot of that for Toyota. And you can call it digital transformation. I mean, because that's kind of what it is. But companies, I hear this a lot. We want AI. We want a chatbot. And you have to ask the why first, because you can spend a lot of money on, I mean, you know this, you get an email or a call or a LinkedIn message from 17 vendors a day trying to push, their coolest new technology on you.
Exactly.
So is ATAP in a position to sort of help recruiters get into sort of new vocation, side hustles, suggested, crossroads and opportunities?
Yeah, I think we're pretty uniquely positioned. Our power is our community. We have a great community. You're passionate about the organization, so the folks that are involved, and it's part of ATAP. We leverage that community. So our Facebook group is how we do that, and that group it's a who's who in the industry, and these are the people you want to network with and learn from and really grow with. So I think it's a great way to, one, see what other people are doing, determine where there's niches, because you'll also see tons of organizations saying, who can help me with this?
Right.
And really a great network. And what I love, and ATAP certainly encapsulates this, but I think it's true for talent acquisition, we're the greatest group of people I know. Like, I do not know another profession where everybody works so hard to help everybody else.
Right.
I think that's really our nature.
It's hard to explain to people outside of our industry, isn't it?
It is. And until you experience it, you don't believe it.
That's right. Well, also, no one understands what we do outside of our industry. So
that's very true.
So I think you and ATAP will be back with me and TalentNet. And speaking of great crews, a lot of our friends at Toyota on November 20th for TalentNet Dallas. Hopefully we're not all wearing masks and getting our temperatures taken on the way in by then.
Yeah, I hope not. And we certainly will be. TalentNet and Craig has done such a great job with it. And it's really, it is definitely well known here in Dallas. But I mean, I think it's one of the premier events that anyone can attend in this space. It's so well done. It's just a great sharing, and it moves at a great pace. And I mean, it's such a good event. And as you mentioned earlier, what a great location.
Great location, great community. Yes, it is a great location. That place is cool. I want to show you something. You'll appreciate this. Main Street Days Cup, right? The craft beer event of our lovely Berg, Grapevine, Texas, on which lake I live. Do you attend Main Street Days and do the craft beer thing there?
Yes. It's a great event. I really enjoy it. And I'll tell you, that's for people that haven't been to Grapevine, you can't beat that downtown.
Oh, it's cool.
I mean, you just absolutely can't. And I'm looking forward to getting back to normal a little bit, because summers on Main Street are the best.
They are, and I will vow to buy your next beer there once we are back to normal. So speaking of which, you've got a hobby where you play Warhammer. You're pretty good apparently, and there are whole like craft beer bars and places devoted to getting together for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Grapevine's home of the Citadel, which is the largest Warhammer facility outside of their headquarters in Nottingham.
Right there on Main Street.
Which is great.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. But again, so I do play, see behind me, those are Tempestus Scions, which are my newest kill team. I just won a local tournament not too long ago, running my Space Marines. So I can't wait till we get back to normal and can see how these guys play.
So you've had time to paint your new army, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, let's see. I've watched Tiger King. I've exhausted. I think I've exhausted Netflix.
You finished
so,
Netflix.
Yeah. So I've had time to paint and to build and to do all of that.
Fun.
Because we're a little limited.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. How many times can you walk around the block?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Although I have to admit, I didn't know that I had this many neighbors. I never saw this many people before.
Or dogs, right? Yeah.
People and dogs.
Yeah.
I've met more neighbors in the last month than I have 3 years living in this community.
So we are doing a distance yard hangout. We just moved to a new house here in Grapevine, and we're getting to know some of our close by neighbors. And this will be our first hangout. We've been here 2 weeks. This will be our first time to actually hang out with our next door neighbors. And so they're going to sit in their yard. We're going to sit in our yard, and some other neighbors are going to come up and pull up in their trucks and tailgate. And we're all going to stay plenty far apart, but close enough to hear each other talk. We're not going to call each other on the phone and do this.
I love that. I love that. That's great. I love that we're just
5 p.m.
figuring out ways to make it happen. This is so cool.
Well, and this is something that we should be doing all the time anyway. All of these things that we're doing, there's a lot of good coming out of this crazy time that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's nice. So now, like all of our neighbors know, look, we're all nice. We're all in it together. And it's cool. The sense of community that's come through isolation sounds ironic, but It's been fascinating to watch.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad to be able to meet with you today. Thanks for joining me here. We'll have this video out on LinkedIn and other places and on the podcast. And you can find information about that at insidetalent.org. And Jim D'Amico, you're the best. Thanks for being on.
Hey, thanks, Greg. Thank you, for everything that you do for the community.
Appreciate you. Thank you for listening to Inside Talent. Learn more about the future of talent today at insidetalent.org, where you can sign up for regular updates, and you can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast app.